you so much. Hi, everyone. I am Dan. I am head of Tended Services at SJ, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the coming night trains from Sweden towards Denmark to Europe, and also a bit about the background with night trains at SJ. So we run several night trains at SJ. Every evening, almost every evening, we start night trains towards 16 different destinations in Scandinavia. And as you can see in the picture, there are tendered night trains. Most of the night trains we run are tendered from the different states in Sweden and Norway. And there are also a few commercial night trains. And we run these trains with our own fleet combined with a fleet from the contractor. We had a tender just recently in Sweden where we lost these blue lines that you hopefully can see. And they will be handed over to the next operator now in December. And then we will actually expand our commercial night trains. So we will start a new line towards Umeå, which is a bit of a risk. But what we have seen in the last 3-4 years is a big growth in the night train, the demand for night trains. And we actually run the business more successful. And we can also see that the prices the governments need to pay for us operators to run the night trains are lower, but it also means that there is an existing fleet. No operator would buy a new fleet if there is no guarantee, because a fleet will last for 30, 40, 50 years. The change is a lot about climate awareness. We can see that the customers are generally very happy. We have much bigger customer satisfaction than we have on other trains. And we have actually had quite a successful summer this year when the rest of our lines have been in a complete mess. But the night trains, due to vacation at home and also due to the possibility to book your own room, we have actually had quite a good summer for the night trains. The customer demands for a night train fleet. It's very clear that what we have today, the old fleet, is not what the customer demand is today. We run 125 sleeper and couchette coaches around Scandinavia, and the sleeping and couchette coaches define the night train. You can see sometimes where you see I can buy a night train from within Germany, for example, or even from Denmark with sitting coaches. We don't believe that is the future for a night train, because that is just transport where what you need is to actually deduct 8 hours from your travel time because you're sleeping. And that's not what most people can do in a chair. We will refurbish all our couchette and sleeping coaches. As you might know, the sleeping coaches and couchettes in Norway and Sweden are wider than in the rest of Europe, which is very good for the comfort. You can have like a long bed, but it's very bad for international travel because you can't fit. So those coaches need to stay in Denmark and Sweden. As Bibi just mentioned, we have exactly the same view when it comes to comfort on board, privacy, and also we need to look into other ways of combining night trains with other modes of transport, accommodation, so that you can book and have easy access to your vacation or your business trip. So the coming night train services, the Swedish government announced to support a night train towards Central Europe as part of a green change. And the goal is set for operation in August 2022, and the date is set due to the general election in September in Sweden. You need to prove your elected, and you need to show what you can achieve. They have announced 2 contracts. It's from Malmö, just across the bridge, to Cologne and Brussels, and from Stockholm to Hamburg. It's a very tight schedule due to the election, and the contracts will be direct awarded for 4 years plus 2 optional years. And since Denmark is right between the goal for these trains and Sweden, the trains need to run through Denmark, which is that's very good news, because Denmark will be a major market for the new trains. We see stops, of course, in the Copenhagen area, somewhere else in Zealand, like Ringsted or Slagelse, Odense, and Kolding. Our view is that Copenhagen Central Station will add too much terminal time for a night train, and it's also quite a busy station, so it will add cost, and it will add 30-45 minutes to the trip. And that's why we suggest that the stops in the Copenhagen area will be at the airport station and at New Elleberg station. This is a map of all the night trains in the western part of Europe. I started also to sketch down the night trains in the eastern part of Europe, but you can't really see them because Eastern Europe and Ukraine and Russia, you have night trains basically everywhere. But as you can see, there is a white spot on the map, which is Denmark. And it's also not that many night trains running in the very western part of Europe. But thanks to ÖBB's network, we actually have started to fill out a network in also the western part of Europe. How far can you reach? And this is the real opportunity with a night train, that you actually spend time traveling while sleeping. It's extremely important to have a good infrastructure to be able to run the trains at 200 kilometers per hour, the lower speed during the very night, but it is also significant to be able to run at higher speeds in the end, in the evening and in the morning, to reach longer distances. These times are a bit optimistic, because what we have seen is that you need to add time due to the capacity problems, especially around bigger areas in, for example, Germany. And then also if you need to shunt and exchange parts of the trains, that will also add time. There are a few necessary elements in Denmark to be able to form a growing hub, which actually Copenhagen could be. We need more direct lines with 200 kilometers per hour through Denmark. We need timetables that won't delay, to have slower trains in front of the night trains. And we need station capacity at certain spots. The future for night trains between Scandinavia and continental Europe I would say that within 10 years, it's realistic to believe to connect about 10 major cities. But that needs a political support. It can't be done without the political support. And SJ will support the development of new night trains. We think that is an important role for the train, and that will also grow the rest of the train market in each country. The last important element I want to raise is also about Copenhagen airport stations, which even without the night trains is full. There is a plan building 2 more extra tracks funded by parking houses on top. And this project is very important to start as early as possible. Thank you.
Yes, thank